The shuttle's descent toward Earth filled the alien students with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. From orbit, the planet appeared calm. A shining sphere of blue and green swirled with white clouds, more like an art piece than a battlefield. The students murmured among themselves, comparing it to their own homeworlds. Some whispered that the stories must be exaggerated. How could such a beautiful world be called a death world? The dense canopy of the Amazon rainforest stretched below like an endless sea of green, shimmering under the sun. To them, it was almost inviting. When the craft landed and the protective dome extended around the disembarkation site, the aliens stepped out hesitantly, their eyes scanning the towering trees and the moist, vibrant air. The sound of unseen creatures filled the silence: chirps, howls, buzzing, and croaks. For most of the students, it was overwhelming. To the humans guiding them, it was background noise. Professor Exleth, leading the academic expedition, noticed the skepticism in the students' eyes. It was not uncommon. Most non-human species were born on worlds with stable climates and tamed environments, where danger was rare and predators had been eradicated or domesticated long ago. Earth's legends had always sounded dramatic in comparison. When a Flarnian student, its bioluminescent scales glowing faintly, commented, "It looks peaceful, Professor, almost gentle." The nearby human guide, Lieutenant Reyes, only chuckled. He didn't argue, nor did he try to convince them otherwise. He simply said, "You'll see." The students were eager to begin their survey. They pulled out scanners, sampling devices, and recorders, excited at the thought of cataloging Earth's biosphere. Their first steps into the forest felt like stepping into a living cathedral, its green walls alive with motion and sound. None of them realized yet that every leaf, every shadow, every innocent splash of color, could hide something waiting to kill them. It didn't take long for the aliens' curiosity to turn into unease. A bright splash of color caught their attention. A tiny frog perched delicately on a broad green leaf. Its skin glistened in the filtered sunlight, a jewel among the foliage. One of the students, fascinated by its harmless appearance, leaned forward with a scanning device, eager to record the first lifeform up close. Before the scan could begin, Lieutenant Reyes stepped in swiftly, his gloved hand snapping out to block the attempt. His voice carried a sharp edge as he said, "Don't touch that unless you want to find out what dying feels like." The student froze, its frills flattening against its body. The others exchanged nervous glances. To them, the creature seemed so innocent, so fragile. How could such a small thing be dangerous? Reyes explained without hesitation. "That little frog can shut down your nervous system in under a minute. Its poison can kill 10 humans. If you had brushed against it, none of your tech would have saved you." The realization sent a chill through the group. Their scanners began to hum as they analyzed the creature from a safe distance, confirming the human's words. The frog hopped away, oblivious to the fear it had caused, leaving the students rattled. The professor took the opportunity to emphasize the lesson. This is why Earth is classified as a death world. Here, beauty and danger exist in the same breath. The aliens grew quiet, their initial excitement replaced by a prickling awareness that every movement around them might conceal something lethal. A bird's cry overhead made them flinch. A rustle in the underbrush sent their eyes darting nervously. They were beginning to understand. On Earth, survival wasn't guaranteed by strength or intelligence. It was dictated by constant vigilance against even the smallest of threats. As the group pressed deeper into the rainforest, the alien students began to realize that the tiny frog had only been the first lesson. The forest itself seemed alive with menace, its vibrant colors and endless sounds masking dangers at every step. Lieutenant Reyes pointed to a vine wrapped around a tree, its thorns glistening faintly with a sticky fluid. "That one will numb your body in minutes if you brush against it," he said casually, as though describing the weather. One student recoiled instantly, realizing how close they had come to leaning against it. Another scanned the ground and discovered an insect, no bigger than a thumbprint, whose venom, according to the data, could melt tissue within hours. The aliens exchanged wide-eyed looks of disbelief. On their homeworlds, such creatures would have been eradicated or contained for the safety of the population. On Earth, they thrived in abundance. Crossing a river was no safer. The water looked pristine and inviting, but Reyes warned them about predators lurking beneath the surface. "There are fish here that can strip flesh in minutes," he explained, "and others that swallow prey whole without warning." The aliens stared into the dark water, shuddering at the thought that death could be hiding just beneath the surface of something so deceptively calm. The deeper they went, the more overwhelming it became. Every plant, every insect, every shadow in the trees carried the possibility of lethal consequences. What shocked the students wasn't just the sheer number of threats, but the indifference with which the humans described them. To the aliens it was horrifying. To Reyes and his companions, it was simply life as usual. For the first time, the students felt the weight of the term Deathworld. It wasn't just a classification, it was reality. The lesson none of the students expected came when the skies suddenly darkened. At first, it was subtle, the air grew heavier, the forest quieted, and the wind shifted. Then, within moments, the heavens split open with thunder. Rain poured down in violent sheets, drenching the canopy, and turning the ground into a slick mire. The alien students panicked, their protective suits struggling against the sudden onslaught of water and wind. To them, this was nothing short of a cataclysm. Lightning arced across the sky, striking a tree so close that the crack of its fall echoed through the jungle like an explosion. Several students huddled together, shielding their delicate bodies as if the storm itself were alive and hunting them. The humans, however, moved calmly through the chaos. Reyes, soaked to the skin, laughed as he steadied a fallen branch to clear a path. Another human guide shouted over the roar of the wind, giving directions as if the storm were nothing more than an inconvenience. Stay low, watch your footing. Don't let the mud take you. Their tone wasn't fearful but confident, practiced. This was survival, but not extraordinary survival, just another day on Earth. The aliens could hardly comprehend it. On their own worlds, storms of this magnitude would trigger mass evacuations and emergency protocols. Here, humans endured without hesitation. Their movements showed experience born of generations forced to face nature's fury. The students, trembling, watched as the humans guided them through collapsing trees, roaring winds, and walls of rain with a composure that felt almost alien in itself. By the time the storm passed, the aliens stood in stunned silence. For them, it had been a near apocalypse. For the humans, it had simply been weather. In that moment, the students realized Earth didn't just test survival through predators and poisons. It challenged its children with the planet itself. When night finally fell, the students expected relief, but instead the forest seemed to come even more alive. Distant howls echoed through the darkness, sharp cries rose and fell from the canopy, and unseen things slithered in the underbrush. The aliens gathered close to the fire the humans had built, their body language tense, eyes darting into the shadows. Fire itself was unsettling to some of them, an element rarely used so casually on their homeworlds, but the humans sat comfortably around it, passing containers of food and speaking as though the predators outside were nothing more than background noise. One student whispered in disbelief, "How can they sit so calmly when everything out there is trying to kill them?" Lieutenant Reyes looked up from the fire, catching the alien's words. He gave a half-smile, his face lit by the flickering orange glow. "Because this is what shaped us," he said. "On Earth, every generation fought against hunger, predators, disease, and storms. We weren't given safety. We had to take it." He tossed another branch into the fire, sparks rising into the night air. "We learned to endure. We learned to adapt. And when we couldn't fight something, we learned to outthink it. That's the only reason we're still here." The professor tilted its crystalline head, mandibles clicking softly. "So the strength of humanity is not in your weapons, but in the way your world has tempered you." Reyes nodded slowly. "Exactly. Earth is a crucible. It doesn't allow weakness. Every creature that survives here, us included, has been forged by struggle. That's why danger doesn't scare us the way it scares you. It's just life." The aliens fell silent, their earlier arrogance gone. For the first time, they looked at the humans not with pity or curiosity, but with awe. As dawn broke, the rainforest glistened with dew, its beauty masking the lethal trials the students had just endured. The shuttle awaited them at the clearing, its sleek frame a welcome sight after a night filled with strange calls and restless fear. As they prepared to depart, the alien students were no longer chattering with excitement or debating among themselves. Instead, they stood quiet, their gazes fixed on the humans who moved with practiced ease, checking equipment, and laughing at shared memories of past missions. To the students, these beings seemed transformed, no longer fragile bipeds, but products of a world designed to test endured every single day. One student whispered to another, "It isn't just the creatures or storms. It's the humans themselves, they belong here. The words carried a new understanding. They had thought the term, Deathworld, referred to Earth's hostile environment, but now they realized it meant something more profound. Earth was alive in a way their own worlds were not. It pressed, it tested, it demanded. And in that endless trial, it had forged humanity into a species unlike any they had encountered before. Professor Exleith studied the human's thali, antennae twitching in contemplation. This world shapes monsters and survivors. It murmured, though not unkindly. And yet you have chosen not only to survive, but to thrive. That is why you carry yourselves without fear. Ray's overheard, offering only a shrug. Fear's always there, he admitted. But we've learned how to walk with it. From orbit, the planet looked serene again, a gleaming jewel adrift in the void. Yet to the alien students, it no longer appeared gentle. They now saw the truth behind its name. Earth was a crucible, and humans were its unbreakable children. The living proof of why a Deathworld breeds legends.